All right, everyone. Welcome
Classic.
back here to the Canadian Spartan Ambassador Podcast. I have an awesome, exciting episode with you. Again, we're going to spin it and turn the tables. We're doing an episode this weekend, because of this weekend, we had an epic race happen down in Florida, a DEKA race with Amber, our regular host, and her husband, Zach, and of course, a lot of other Canadians. And there were some big results. So we thought, let's turn the tables again and make this episode all about DEKA, all about Spartan, DEKA, and the racing and teams. And let's make it an awesome one that way. So welcome, Amber, and welcome, Zach. And let's just start with a little intro because I think sometimes we don't do great intros. We just get right into it because we love talking about this stuff. But so tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from. Give us that little intro and go for it.
All right. Well, this is fun being on the other side of this conversation. So for those of you who maybe don't know, my background is actually in gymnastics. I spent majority of my life as a competitive gymnast, and immediately after hanging up the leotard, I jumped into a full-blown career as a gymnastics coach and judge, where I spent 12 years before transitioning into the fitness industry, which I actually opened my gym in the heart of COVID, Pure Impact Athletics. And it's just been such an amazing journey to where we are today, really. And last year becoming the second ever DEKA affiliate gym in Canada, which is kind of when we first learned about Spartan and DEKA. Actually, no, we learned about Spartan in the year before that. Yeah, the year before that, I convinced him, along with two of our other friends, to join me at the Blue Mountain 5 kilometer sprint, in which we all thought we were going to be totally fine. I was a gymnast, he was a soccer player. We thought we were going to crush it. And I was 2 minutes up that hill. And I remember being like, guys, I think I'm going to die. Like, my calves are cramping, my butt's burning. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And then there's Zach, soccer player. He's like, hey, bye. I'm going to meet you at the top of the hill. And I think you waited up there for how long for me?
I don't know, like 20 minutes.
Yeah, like at least 15 minutes. So classic. Needless to say, we had a lot of fun. And we then went on to complete trifectas, trifecta weekends, all the things until we found DEKA and became an affiliate. And that was a lot of fun. So my first ever DEKA Strong was last October at Farm Girl Fitness.
Mhm.
And it was a DEKA Strong. Loved it. Was kind of the same experience as Spartan, where you think you're going to do great, and then you get halfway through and you are casually dying, mainly on the assault bike.
Oh,
And
we'll get
Zach
to
couldn't
that.
compete at that one with me, though, because it sold out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it sold out. So immediately after that, I then had the DEKA bug and became an affiliate and got online. And Zach was at a soccer game and came home and was like, "Did you sign me up for something?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna race with me in teams at World Championships." And he was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, why
And
not?
the rest is history, kind of after that.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, why not? It was fun.
it's not like Zach just is like, I mean, he's your husband, which is amazing, but he's also got an athletic background as well too. So it's not like Zach's you know, just some guy, right? So let's talk about
Joe
that,
Schmo.
Zach. Yeah, I mean, and like any some guy can go and do these, but it's kind of a power couple moment between the two of you when you decide to do things together. So Zach, tell us about your background. So let's make this make it make sense.
Okay, so I played semi-pro and professional soccer. I started at a young age and just worked my way up through the system, played high level, and then had full rides to scholarships to the States, but decided to go the pro route instead, and then ended up getting injured and pretty much ended my career at the time. And then I opened up my own construction business and then helped Amber build her gym, and then that's pretty much it in my career for stuff. And then she just started signing me up for stuff, and
She's like,
Zach,
I
you're
know
doing
this
this.
is
Okay.
I know this is going to work, so let's do this because
Yeah.
I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to give this crown, invisible crown. You guys are our Canadian DEKA power couple. I'm going to state that right now because I mean, who is racing with their husband at such a high level? And when I say high level, let's talk about the records that you hold together or the top tens that you hold. I feel like there's something in
Yeah.
every, yeah, let's talk about those individually.
So it's okay. So interesting, actually, because I think we were one of the first co-ed teams to do the DEKA Strong.
Yeah.
Back in January.
Mhm.
And it was so funny because we thought we had like this great time. Like we look at it now and we're like, wow.
Okay,
We
what
were
was it?
rookies back
Throw
then.
it out there.
It
Do you
was
remember?
10:49. Okay. 10:49 was our first ever DEKA
That's
Strong
great.
time together. Actually, let's backtrack because when we went to Worlds together, here's the funny story. I signed him up to be my runner at Worlds because I
Okay,
was going to do everything and he was just going to run because he's a soccer player.
true.
And you think about our strategy now and how much of a rookie mistake that was because this guy over here is like just destroys the machines.
Hmm.
So our very first team was DEKA FIT World Championships last year. We ran in the open category and ended up 8th on the elite leaderboard because we did half decent, I guess. And decided, hey, let's do this thing. So then in January we did a DEKA Strong together at 10:49. Thought that was great. That's not even on the same plan as what we do now. We then got beat. So then we beat that whoever it was, came in at 10:02 in March. And then somebody came in at 10 flat, and we just said, okay, screw that. We don't like being second on the leaderboards. So we
True.
went down to Underdog Fitness, hammered out a 9:41 DEKA
Wow.
Strong time. There was another team that went in and around under like sub 10 around the same time. So we don't know if we're pretty sure we were the first
Sub 10.
co-ed team to go sub 10. So we held that. We're within the top 5 in the DEKA mile, which we have to redo because we didn't know at the time that we were racing together that I actually had mono. So
Oh, lovely.
our DEKA mile time might not be the most best example of what we're capable of in the DEKA mile. And then we went to Philly a couple weeks ago. We did a 29:09 in our DEKA FIT time, and I took a spill over the box. So this is kind of
Yes.
where the fun story begins as to what led us to Orlando last weekend because I always say everything happens for a reason. Obviously, we had every intention of going to Worlds and, racing strong mile and fit together.
Mm.
But I took a spill over the box in Philly, which 29:09, guys, is still a very respectful time. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
sprained my ankle, raced on it. It was miserable for me. He totally carried the team, but because of that, we weren't settled. Like 29:09 didn't feel like that was what we were capable of.
For
So we
sure.
decided to go to Orlando last weekend and just ended up being a major plot twist because
Yeah.
we
So
actually didn't even race together.
yeah, so this is really interesting because Amber and I kind of talk on the sidelines a lot. We're always kind of figuring out what we're going to do next on the podcast and some of the Spartan stuff. But I knew you were going to Florida to go and beat your time and try to get like just before Worlds, make that solid. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, so we're going to switch up the partners here. And so you both did female and male. So Zach was with another male, and we'll get to that in a second. Amber did the female. And this is where the story gets super interesting and really exciting. So let's talk about that day and why you decided to change that.
Well, sometimes, and Jill knows, sometimes I just have these crazy spur of the moment ideas. And you know what? Sometimes you either roll with them or you don't. And yeah, you know what? To be honest, the field was stacked. Like the co-ed team was stacked. All the fields were stacked. There was some amazing competitors at Orlando DEKA FIT, guys. The elite field was stacked. It was an amazing race. If you didn't watch it, go back, live stream it. Epic. Okay. So we were kind of like we were kind of chatting with Brian Neely and Karen, who also race co-ed teams together, and we're always neck and neck with them. And we were just kind of having a conversation. You know, we're all qualified within the top 10. We've got our scores. It's going to be an actual dogfight for the podium today. Like the teams that were there, like none of us were not podium contenders. Like it was going to be world championships in a nutshell. So we kind of had this thought that, you know, we're not going to move 10 spots after today. Like we're pretty sure we're locked in qualification. So we just kind of said,
just to cut you off, do they only take top 10 for teams? Is that how it works? You have to be in the top 10?
Top 20.
Top 20.
Okay, top 20. But you just wanted to make sure.
We want to be in the top 10 because they send 10 teams out at a time.
Yeah.
We want to be in the first heat wave instead of being the second heat wave.
Yeah. Okay, so strategy.
Yeah. So that was originally why we went to Orlando, was just to make sure, you know, we would claim our spot in the first wave, which we were 7th at the time. I don't know where we are now, but anyways, we were 7th with a 29:09. We just wanted to it wasn't very comfortable. So anyways, we get to Orlando though, and we were like, you know what, like we got to shake things up a little because it's all the same teams lining up. We know like what we're all capable of. It was really going to be anybody's day and whoever could put together the best race that day. So we just felt like we're already locked in. Let's just mix it up. So I was sitting in recovery with my legs in those things, and I had Karen on one side, Brian on the other. And I was like, guys, like, let's do a female team and a male team. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if we're going to duke it out for a podium, let's go duke it out for first. Right.
Yeah.
And so we did. So I ended up racing with Karen. We had only met earlier that day. And Brian, I mean,
Amazing.
We know each other through social media because everybody in DEKA, like, it's a small community. We follow each other. And I said to them, like, you guys could do amazing. Like I knew him and Brian were going to be a great team.
Yeah.
And the moment I said to Brian that he didn't have to bike, row, or do very much of the ski, he was pumped about that.
I feel like a lot of people would feel the same way.
Yeah. So anyways, so long story short, we rolled with it. We had a major plot twist, and I promised Yancey and the DEKA team, like it was a little bit of a hassle to switch up the registrations, but I promised them it was going to be an epic race, and sure enough it was. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about your race, because it was more exciting than my parents.
Well, they were both really interesting. The fact that you were able to both, I don't want to spoil it, but you both did really well in those races. So let's talk the individual races. So let's start with Zach. Zach, how did that go for you? What was the reception like for you two? Amber throws this at you. Are you used to this by now, and do you go with it, or are you like, yeah, that's a really smart idea, or is it a combo?
It was a little bit of both. Like, not gonna lie to you, I was like, oh, now I actually got to hit my splits, because I told Neely that this is my time. I can do these times on all these machines. It's like, with Amber, it's just like, okay, if I don't, whatever, she'll get over it.
She'll still love you.
But yeah. But I ended up getting Brian as my teammate, and he's like, yeah, you can do this. I'm like, yep, okay. And then waiting for the race to start, I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, I have to hit these splits. Like I told him what I'm going to roll, what I'm going to ski, what I'm going to bike for him.
Yeah.
For the most part, I hit my row. I felt comfortable on my row. Ski we had a little bit of miscommunication, let's just say.
Fair.
He went to a station too early, and then he had to come back out, and I was supposed to run, and then he decided, oh, I'm going to run and make up for this. Sorry, Zach. And then he did his loop, and then he hopped. Yeah, it was just like, it was our first time racing together. So we're definitely scatterbrained and trying to figure stuff out. And
for sure. And you figured that out at the event. Like most people, it would be smarter to talk. Like I've done teams now too. And the best things I've ever done with my teammates was when we talked online for a little bit and talked about strategy and then figured it out. But you guys were on the fly with that. So yeah, you're going to make mistakes doing that.
So I mean, okay, so I remember like Karen and I were second wave because we're a female team. And I remember standing there and we're watching and we're like, if they don't win this, they're going to hate us. Like we were standing there like, they better be in the lead right now as we're watching this like unfold. And we're like, they're going to hate us. So
They
at
will.
that particular moment, though, you guys were in second
For what?
for like at the start of the race.
At the start of the race. Going in. So at the start of the race, we started out with a nice casual, nice, easy 500 meters, not going too crazy, not being we're like probably, I'm going to say third place at this time.
Mhm.
And I'm like, don't worry, we'll catch them.
Mhm.
Let's run a nice, easy run. Neely got done the lunges first, so I got out of the gate first out of
Nice.
all the teams that were there. So he flew through the lunges. I was like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this is awesome. We already got this lead going.
Took an
Mhm.
early lead.
So then Dustin, who's the other team that we end up,
Dustin and Will.
Will.
Awesome team, you guys. They put up some great times too. So
Dustin's
shout
a
out to them.
very, very fast runner. So he
Okay.
ended up catching up to me on the first loop and then ended up passing Brian on the second loop. And then I was in the ski, the row. And I was like, don't worry, we got this. So then I ended up rowing like a 133 by the time my average was.
And is that higher or lower than you normally do, or on par?
It's pretty close. Like I like trying to be like low 130s
for teams.
For teams.
Yeah.
Just to be comfortable.
If you guys have never done teams, like teams is on another level of intensity. Basically when you line up and do a DEKA team of any sort, like you're preparing to redline from the start to the finish. Like
because you get breaks. You get a break.
So
it's a relay.
More. Yeah, I find teams hurt so much more because you're sending it 100% the whole time. So obviously he's not going to row 130 probably in his individual, but anyways. So when did you, like at one point though, like it really became a very intense race because you guys lost the lead at what point in the race?
Box over. Yeah, because Neely ended up making a mistake and then he's like, I'm going to run the extra laps. Then he went around, did the 500 meters himself and then did the box.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran the next loop and we're still behind at this point. Like we're still trying to chase Will and Dustin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're just a little bit ahead of us, not much, but just enough that we can see them ahead of us, but it's still a stretch that we got to start pushing ourselves.
So you stayed in second until
the end.
So it really got close though, like at the tank. Like when you guys went into the tank, I want to say
the bike we caught them more.
Okay, so you closed the gap on the bike, but the tank, I have never seen a team move a tank this fast. If you look at their splits online, their chip time was 1:15 on the tank. It was insanity.
My gosh.
So
so
you guys came in and they had
2 lengths ahead of us.
2 lengths.
So down and back to like 2 full lengths.
So push or pull.
And you guys just picked it up and took it over the line, basically.
40 meters. They're 40 meters ahead of us.
2 pushes, 2 pulls. Okay.
So and I told before the race started, I'm like, okay, Neely, this is how we're going to do it. Keep it this way.
They have a strategy. They're not.
I'm like, don't change the strategy because this is the only way we're going to do the tank and make up time. So what he does, he pushes the tank down, and I ream the crap out of this tank to get back, and then we just go back and forth like that.
Like one goes forward, one goes backwards.
He pushes forward, and I rip it back.
I actually did that with my partner at the last in Philly. It was amazing. You got like this little nice break, and the tank didn't feel like death. So it felt like a different death.
Yeah. So they did about 1:15 according to the
chip
times, which closed quite a gap. So, and when you guys left the tank, they had half a lap on you guys. So they had half a lap going into the burpees. They were behind by half a lap.
Okay, so you both had to run that together. So at the end, so for anybody's watching, you can't just send your strongest runner out on the last lap. It's got to be both. So you're kind of at the mercy of what your partner does. So but
time
you closed the gap. How did you do that? Like, were you sprinting, or was one of you pushing the other, or just dying or crying? Or
I was crying because my legs were pretty blown up because I had to hammer out the bike, and then did the dead over the wall, and then we hammered out the tank. And I was like, I kept going, Neil. I'm like, my legs are done. He's like, no. He's like, Zach, just believe. We'll do it. And I just kept saying, Zach, we got this. We'll catch them on the burpees. Don't worry. We'll catch them on the burpees. The entire 500-meter run. I'm like,
you never heard Neely speak online, guys. He just speaks to your soul and makes you believe that you can do a lot of things. So go follow him on Instagram because he's like quite the motivational speaker. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Neely for pulling him through the last 500.
He's like, Zach, we'll get them on the burpees. Don't worry, we'll get them on the burpees. I'm like, dude, you really think so? My legs are so done. And like, so they were about, I'm going to say probably about 150 meters ahead of us going into the burpees. So like a good distance, like, and I'm like, oh man, like this is going to be tough.
That's a lot. So, like that's a lot.
Yeah, it's not
15 to 30 seconds. So
so it ended up they were down by 5 burpees when they so
that's
Dustin
a lot.
and Will were done 5 burpees already by the time Zach and Neely entered the burpee zone. And I don't know how you guys pulled it off.
Yeah, I don't either. So
but they ended up winning.
What was the strategy in burpees? Who did them and
so
how many?
I went to Brian. I'm like, Brian, listen, I'm pretty gassed right now. I'm like, do as many as you can. I'm good for at least 8. I can do 8 max. Like I am that tired right now. Like my legs are just like jello. He's like, all right. So he just started hammering them out. He got to 15. He's like, all right, Zach, it's your turn. I'm like, all right. And I just like blacked out. I don't even remember. And then we literally like, and then we're going to like the finish line. And all of a sudden we see Dustin diving to the finish line.
Yes.
And like we just passed. So on the actual chip, we had to actually go down to like a video footage of our like finish because on the chip they actually said that they beat us on the chip time.
Okay.
And I was like, there's no way. I'm like, we were both across before they even got to the line.
Yeah.
So I had to pull Robin aside. I'm like, Robin, you got the film still of us crossing the line, right? She's like, oh yeah. So we had to take it all the way over to the timekeeper, show them the whole video. And eventually like they rewarded us with the thing, but it's like by like half a second.
Like even not I watched it and I actually tried to watch it back. I didn't slow it down, but I watched it 2 or 3 times and was like, how do we know this? How do we know who, like you can't tell. Like,
so I actually was able to like screenshot a picture and you can see Dustin and Will are behind the line. So they haven't physically crossed out of the burpee zone yet, but they're diving, but you see Zach and Neely are on the other side of the finish line.
So it was a photo finish in the elite men's teams.
It was, and let's talk about the time because you guys did it in 26:25. For you guys who don't know, that is freaking fast. And to have like a tie like that is insane.
Okay, like, put it this way too. Just think of it if you don't do DEKA or you're interested in DEKA, there's an entire 5K race on top of 10 fitness stations. So think about a 5K time.
Yeah.
All of that done in 26 seconds. That's insane. So I can see why your legs would have been blown out and but it's always nice to have someone motivating you in your ear and someone new is great too, because you're really trying to impress them and, you know,
that's it, right?
You know, and it's not because it's just because you don't want to let them down and they're new. Like, of course you're going to try your hardest with Amber. You guys are going to keep crushing it, but if it's not your day, you might not pull it out.
Well, and, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Right. And that's what happened in Philly. Like, you know, it was like, I still gave it my all, but I do feel like, you know, I was injured. It was easy to just be like, okay, you got to run this one because we're married, right? And you know, so he really picked up the slack for us in Philly. But yeah, when you race with someone who you're not married to, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like we full send for each other. Like,
oh, I know you do.
and teams, like I know when I partner up with somebody, like I'm willing to like sell my soul out there for that person, and I trust that they will too. But yeah, like it was another level of intensity because like we'd never raced with those people. Like we were really like fully trusting in each other to do what we all said we were going to do. And it was so much fun because I really think it elevated everybody. Like, it really pushed everybody to their absolute max and in the best way possible. And that's what I love about teams is we really rise by like elevating each other. Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, but to you, Zach and Brian, but how flippin' disappointing would that have been to come second in that race? Like,
so you know what the funny thing is? This happened to Brian. This happened to Brian at the last race that Brian raced with another partner. He lost to Dustin and Will the same way we won.
Yeah.
So it's like Neely's like, this is awesome. I got payback.
I love this.
But redemption race.
But as an athlete, there's one thing if he was 2 laps ahead of you or they were 15 burpees ahead of you, you're like, okay. But coming in second in a millisecond is like, So how is this going to play out now then? Because we'll go through Amber's team as well. I'm getting ahead of myself maybe, but that was a first place finish, Canadians on the podium, which we all in Canada love to see because there's not as many of us running. So it's nice to throw out Canadians and see Canadians at these races. I know our US friends love us too. So how will you do this at Worlds then, Zach? Are you going to compete with Brian again, or what do you think? Or are we keeping it a secret, or are we just going to decide that day?
Well,
we can't decide that day, but
we gotta accept our position. So
it looks like it's going that way. I mean, like, how can you not go out and fight together again? Like when you put up a score like that and know that, you know, there was some mistakes along the way and like they could have more in the tank. Like they were within a minute of the record. Like how could you not go chase that? You know, like
you're always going to do better the second time with your teammate. Always going to do it.
Sure.
Just like the first time you do a DEKA, you're going to do better the second time. Everything else beyond that's, you know, is tweaking things, but always the second time is going to be better. So that's exciting.
So yeah, it's definitely looking like it's going in that direction. But I mean, ultimately too, like that's why you want to partner up with multiple people, because if you don't partner with them and get a qualifying score, you're not allowed to race with them in teams. So it's not like if Zach chooses to not claim a spot, I can pull in Kevin to be my DEKA FIT racer. Like we don't have a DEKA FIT time together, right? So you really want to like kind of like make sure you get those qualifying scores in. And I mean, I personally think it would be a shame if they didn't race together.
I kind of agree.
Just the level of athleticism that they like exposed was insane, and I just can't. I couldn't imagine them not racing together.
Go back if you're listening. Go and find that video of the finish line too, because if you listen to the audio too, it's really pretty cool. No, the audio is great. It's like the reason, because Zach actually cut his hair. I do know Zach as well. The last time I saw him, I didn't know that he had a haircut. So I saw the fast finish line, kind of thought maybe it was Zach. But then as soon as I heard you open your mouth, I was like, oh, that's Zach. And they're very excited about their win. And Brian is super pumped about it too. So it's a really cool, go watch it. You'll love it.
So DEKA, I heard, is going to have a slow-mo replay of our finish.
So you're going to want to find
please do.
So it's coming. Robin messaged me like yesterday and said it'll be posted pretty soon.
Awesome.
So apparently they have video footage in like a slow-mo, possibly a better angle than what we have.
Awesome.
So it's going to be really good. I'm interested to see what it is.
Yeah.
So. And honestly, guys, like if you like, they need to start live streaming teams. So all of you need to start messaging OCR Report or whoever you can and demand that they start live streaming teams, because it is so sad that this like crazy battle was not live streamed, because honestly it was one of the most intense races that I think has stepped foot in the DEKA FIT arena. Like
and it's like that with I was there in Philly for a DEKA, and I did teams as well, but like not at the front of the line. We were just giving it our all. It was awesome. I loved it. But there are some elite level athletes like that are stars in the community who are pairing together like the best, the top and the top. It's incredible. I think it's maybe more exciting, the teams personally. I find, because I'm excited for both people, like what's the chemistry like? How is it going to go down? Like, is this person going to screw up this thing? When it's solo, it's still exciting, but I don't know. I like teams. Everybody needs to try it too.
Another level of excitement.
Yeah. So what about your partner?
It's another.
You're saying you met your partner on the day. You had talked to her before. Did you go to her first knowing, hey, we could maybe convince these guys to do this? And what was her reception like?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, yeah, basically her and I were like, yeah, this just kind of needs to happen. Like her and I totally hit it off. Shout out to Karen. She's a fabulous athlete. She podiumed individually that day as well in the DEKA FIT for her age group. Amazing athlete. We're very similar in a lot of ways, personality wise. But as we got chatting, our strengths in DEKA like totally complement each other. And I was like, girl, like we gotta throw down. Like, I think we could do a pretty good time. Like, definitely podium contenders that day for sure. And we were pretty sure, like, you know, even claiming a qualification score for Worlds. So yeah, basically like she became my Zach and we did almost the same strategy
Awesome.
as what I would have done with Zach. And she loved that. Like the fact that, you know, she was doing most of the machines. I was doing most of the
speed,
you know, more body weight ability, speed type zones. And to be honest, we made an amazing pair. Our communication was great, having just met each other. Like it was just everything about it was so smooth and I would say flawless. And
awesome.
we ended up with a time of 30:16. Our goal was to go under 30 minutes, which is definitely in reach. There was a few like funny moments, like I full on like ran into some guy who just stopped middle of the runway like a brick wall, and I literally was thrown into like the spectator zone on our last loop
Oh
coming into burpee. Like
no.
there was a few little funny things that it's funny now. Like
Yeah,
so if you guys are listening, don't
race
stop
etiquette.
in the middle of the running lane, like out of nowhere. Like move to the side if you want to stop, because someone's coming full send.
And
So
there's a little bit of race etiquette that it needs to be like maybe brought up here because I raced in the teams. I'm not an elite athlete, but I'm giving it. So, and I'm running my own race, but I was aware of the fact that there were elites running on the track. And yes, I'm going for my best time in the world. Yay me. There are people here that are going for elite best times, and some of them are trying to get top 20. Some of them are trying to go to worlds. And so I was really aware. Normally, when I race in, like, say, a Spartan or in a road race, because I'm more comfortable with that, I cut all the sides, I take the quickest paths. But I was really aware of I wasn't going to stick to the side here. I kind of left a little room between me so that they could buzz in between me. And I don't know, it's not wrong with the format the way it is because that's just part of it. It's like you're racing with other people. Everybody's got the same issues. It's random. It's going to happen. Pick your spots and pay attention. That Amber, yours was a little different when someone stops. But you can't just cut the middle because you want the middle in this if there's a slower racer. So I think we should pay attention to that as athletes. We should be, if you're not the fastest person running around the track, then don't, in my opinion, don't stick to the corner there. But that's just me.
And you know what? Like it could have been that, you know, he was maybe doing a trade. I don't really know because I was just coming full send and like
maybe he was hurt too.
You know, like he was a few strides in front of me and then he just stopped and I could not slow down in time. And thank God he was larger than me because if he wasn't, it probably would have been worse than it was. But anyway, so I got a little thrown off course there, made my way back in. So yeah, our goal was to go under 30 minutes. We went 30:16. So a few things in there that we're both think we could improve upon. And we'd love to go under 30 minutes at Worlds. We're currently in second position heading into World Championships. So definitely like podium contention there.
Yeah.
But like the separation between the first 3 or 4 female teams, if you check the leaderboard, it's going to be a battle and it's going to be really fun. Like it's going to be tight. Yeah.
So you basically said that you're going to do that too. So are you going to forfeit your together race? Because is it even possible to do both of those things? They're on the same day, right?
No.
Well, probably what they'll do is they'll probably send out the men's teams and then the co-ed teams and then the female teams. So maybe you could, but it would be so close together. I don't think you'd be getting the best of your partner at that point if he were to race and then come race again. So I think for the fit specifically, probably not the best idea to do 2 divisions for teams. For the strong, maybe like you might have enough division between doing men's and then co-ed or female or whatever, but the fit would be tough. That would be really tough.
I found, even though it's redlining with the strong, they're different events, they hurt in different ways. I do find the fit to be like, it's quite a lot more taxing on the body. You don't realize it while you're doing it because you're still full sending it, but afterwards my body is toast afterwards. And the strong, it's a little toast, but it's not the same toast. It's, that's kind of like a HIIT workout, but adding the 5K and the stations and redlining for me, I'm around 45 minutes. That's a long time to redline for. So
like I said, teams just hurts on another level, like, because you're not pacing it. There's no pacing anything in teams except for like full sets. So it's kind of funny, like, to look back to the start of the year, and our plan was to literally compete fit, strong, and mile together as a co-ed team, the Tait family, but it's kind of evolved. And I feel like as great as we are together, we're also great as partners separately as well. So we honestly, I don't even know if we're racing together. Like, it's up in the air as to whether Kevin, Gregory, and I will be doing our DEKA Strong together, because he's also got a male partner. And then Zach's going to put up a time this weekend with somebody. So that'll be exciting to watch. He's going to kind of cover his ground there. So the strong, like, I don't know. I mean, Kevin and I hold the record, so maybe.
Yeah, that'll be tough to. It's hard when you're first at a lot of the events. Because which one do you pick?
Yeah, we're like, right now, Kevin and I are the only teams that have gone under 9 minutes for the DEKA Strong, like, of any division. So Kevin and I did an 8-minute 55-second DEKA Strong co-ed relay the week after Philly. So obviously conversation as to whether we're going to do that, or like Zach and I are sitting in third on the co-ed leaderboard. So definitely podium contention there. But Kevin also has the fastest male time with his good friend AJ, who's an amazing athlete as well. So I think when it comes to the DEKA Strongs, there's a lot of conversation and a lot of option there.
And what about the mile? Are you on the leaderboard for the mile? Are you top 3?
Yeah, we're top 10 for the mile.
Nice.
We're top 10 for the mile.
Yeah, Zach and Kevin are in second for the mile, though. With a time of 14:49, which is super impressive.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Rylan Shadag just beat them by 2 weeks ago.
By like 20
had an amazing time. So they're in second place. Zach and I, our time 16:49, but that race was really weird for me. I didn't know I had mono at the time. And I just remember, like, weird things were happening. I, like, almost fell doing lunges, and then I got to the sit-ups and I dropped the med ball on my head. And I was like, Zach, like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but something's off. Yeah. So that was like not a good race for us. But I mean, we're still in the top 10 at 16:49. So I don't think that. Yeah, I think our position there is not very realistic to what we're capable of.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, but then again, I have a female partner that we have an amazing time in the DEKA Mile as well. So I don't know, guys. Like, maybe send us some feedback. Who do you want to see us race with at Worlds? Help us make these decisions.
Let's put that in the comments. What do you think they should do? What would the Taits do?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give you a little more feedback this weekend. Zach's partnering up with Pat Millington, who is one of the top DEKA Strong athletes in Canada. He's a freaking rock star. So that's going to be something to watch out for as well on the leaderboard. I'm very confident they're going to do some pretty good damage there. So that would also be another option for Zach and DEKA Strong. So come on, guys, give us some help here. We seriously need help. Like, who you want us to race with? Because
I don't know. Well, knowing that it's Pat, that's a tough one, but I mean, providing you do well, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But I feel like there has to be I don't know. There doesn't have to be, because this is your first not your first year. I know you went to Worlds, but it's changed this year. There's different events. So this is kind of like a full first year of full everything. You've dedicated most of your training is dedicated to DEKA. You do other things, but this is what you've focused on this year. So this is year one of this too. So it is early when you think of it. So
yeah, that's true. So we'll be at Farm Girl. I've got a big PR to hit this weekend. I was recently knocked out of the top 20 for individual strong. So I feel like my fitness is there, and I'm gonna come out swinging on the weekend and try and get back into the top 20. Just get some Canadian females in the elite at Worlds. Like, we need some female Canadians.
Who do we have currently that we know is going to that, or who's got a shot right now in current women? We've got you.
So Becca King is currently in 10th with a time of 13:10. I don't know if she's going to go to Worlds or not.
Okay, Becca, you can go.
Yeah, she's an incredible athlete. I would honestly love to see her line up with some of these other rock stars because she's never done it in a race style. It's always been in an affiliate gym where it's you, yourself, and I against the clock. And I know she's got a fight in her, and I would honestly love to see her line up with some of the other elites and just challenge her to that next level. Yeah. I don't know if she's going to be there or not, so I'm going to do my best to get a second female Canadian in the top 20 this weekend. And that way, if Becca goes, maybe there'll be two of us in elite, and if she doesn't, I'm going to try and get my ass there because Canada needs to be on the map. Bethany McChesney is amazing. I think the DEKA FIT is more her jam than the DEKA Strong, and she's in the top. I think she's 23rd. I think she's for the FIT.
Yeah, she's 23rd right now.
Oh, I don't know, but her team is also just behind Karen and I on the leaderboard. So and you'll definitely be seeing Bethany there for the teams.
They had an amazing show at the event that I was at. So that was pretty awesome to see that. And she posted some really cool stuff about that after, because if you go and take a look at both female athletes, they look like the complete opposite athletes. You wouldn't think that they would even compete in the same sport. So, and she wrote a post about it, and it was fantastic. So go and check out Bethany as well, because it's very inspiring to see this dynamic duo as well. So, and that's what's neat about DEKA is that different athletes can pair with each other because they've got different skills. So you don't want just like the buzzy, fast, twitchy person. You also need someone who's strong and can push the darn tank and push the bike, and so.
Yeah, Bethany's a great runner, and I know when they do their team, that is her job. She does a really fast 5K for her partner. And they make a great team. They won Worlds last year as a team. So,
amazing.
I mean, definitely not counting them out of anything when it comes to Worlds this year for the female teams. I know they're going to be right there with us, and I'm expecting a very exciting race.
Well, we're hoping for lots more Canadians. I know we're getting more events on the map for us. This year we started with one, basically. Well, that was just before. Was it November of 2022? Something like that. But we basically
so last October was so Farm Girl was the first affiliate in Canada, and they hosted their first event last October. And then we locked on Pure Impact Athletics, and then after that was Fit Farm, which is Bethany's gym, and then there's Sandy of So Fitness. And then there was a gym out west now. There's one out east. There's a gym in Toronto, Sault Ste. Marie. So I'm pretty sure there's 8 affiliates now in Canada, and I'm just expecting this to continue to grow because this sport is growing exponentially.
And it's pretty amazing because we've said this before. It's just it's a sport. It's a fitness sport that you can just go show up if you're an athlete tomorrow and do it. You don't have to train for anything if you're training your body. Like, of course, if you're out of shape, it's going to be a lot harder for you, but you can still do it. But it's something that's achievable for many, many athletes. So it'll be interesting to see how it grows, especially in Canada. And once we start seeing more Canadians on podiums and seeing these crazy photo finishes and all of this interesting stuff, we're going to see athletes from other fields, because I mean, gymnast
Yeah.
and soccer player, right here. And that works. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then what's great about the teams too, so it's cool that you can pick and choose your teammate, but then you can also be people who maybe can't do certain aspects of it. So you might pair someone who can't really get down and do the lunges properly. They don't do the lunges. So that's neat too. So it does get more people off the couch and interested in
Oh,
DEKA.
absolutely. And
So.
it's a great way to experience DEKA for the first time. Like I always say to anybody, like, if you're hesitant to do DEKA, like I'll partner up with you and I'll just do whatever zones you don't want to do. Like just go out and experience it because
Yeah.
like what we do at the elite level is impressive, but it's so much more inspiring when you see somebody show up for the first time. You know, they're nervous, they're scared, they're unsure, but the change in them when they get to that zone 11, you know, when they finished all 10 zones and just the sense of accomplishment, like it's so cool. So if you're hesitant to maybe take on the DEKA solo for your first time, partner up with someone. God, I would partner with you. I freaking love teams.
She said it. Amber will partner with everyone.
I will. Just don't
ask me to bike. Don't ask right before Worlds when you're trying to qualify for certain things. So but it's so true because
I can do the bike.
Yes. Oh yeah. Let's just before we let go, because we can all go on and on about this. I'm sure we will do this again. But tell me a little bit about your bike skills. I know Zach is you and Kevin pretty much are the bike kings. So what's the best pretty strategy? What should I do? How do I get better in 10 seconds?
For the bike?
Yes. What do you think someone who wants to get better at the assault bike should do?
Hammer it out and hammer it out.
Just hammer it out.
Hammer it out.
All right. I will be in my gym doing that.
But I would say, because this is what Kevin does, because I know kind of we've been talking about bike strategies and whatnot. He does 5 slow pedals to make sure that screen's going and it's starting to count before he hammers it. Because he's like, you don't want to put all that effort in to start your bike out. So now I started implementing that as well. So I'll do 5 slow pedals to make sure things are moving and then let it rip.
That is a very smart idea. Very smart.
So I learned the hard way once, not in the competition, but at our own gym. And I'm like, crap, I'm glad this didn't happen at comp.
Yeah. And like Kevin is the let's call Zach the bike prince because he does very well. You're usually under 30 seconds.
Yes.
But
Kev's
the king. Like he's done it in under 20 seconds. Multiple times in a race setting. Like this guy is just an animal. Like don't blink or you'll miss him bike, basically. Yeah. So shout out to Kev.
But also doing it under 30 seconds is insane for anybody who doesn't. I bet a lot of people do the assault bikes. Doing 25 calories in 30 seconds is craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, if I can get under 2 minutes, I feel like a rock star.
That is, yeah, exactly. Me too. Especially in competition too. Like, because competition, you've got the whole race to go, but that's awesome.
Don't stand the bike too long.
It's
get off that bike as soon as the longer you stand, the harder it is.
It's so true because the first time I did it, it just felt like death the entire time. I'd actually never been on an assault bike before because I'm more of an outdoor kind of obstacle, like pick up a rock and go run with it kind of person. So now after doing DEKA, I pretty much went, full send on the equipment and got an assault bike. And now I'm way more confident on it on it, and now I can do it and I know how to pace it properly. But the first time you get on that thing is like,
well, and just to be completely honest, like the first time last year in October when I did my first ever DEKA Strong, I'd never been on an assault bike either. And I remember like my front half was so smooth. Everybody was like, oh, she's got this.
Yeah.
And then I got to the bike and I'd never been on it. Guys, I spent 3 freaking minutes on the assault bike in that race. So like
nobody should do that.
There, just know that like there's hope for you. It gets way better. Like now I'm usually, between 1:30, 1:40. Like you got to train it. Like I do a lot of for me, it's a lot of strength training. Like I'm not a very big human being. I just had to, you know, do some strength training, generate some more power and output. And that's what's helped me because he's obviously got that strength and power in his legs from soccer.
Yeah.
And you would think being a gymnast I did, but it's different. Like we're leaner, right? So yeah.
And for Zach too, his sport, yours is fast and into the very high red zone, but Zach's is constant, like sprint stop, sprint stop, sprint stop, sprint stop. So it lends itself really well to teams when you think about it.
It does. I mean, like our zone splits on as a team are great. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Well, that's fantastic. And you have heard it here. I am just going to officially give the crown. This is our Canadian king and queen of DEKA in Canada. We don't have that. I don't know any other couple. Is there another couple doing this?
Not a couple.
Not a couple that I know of in Canada.
And in Canada, we like couples that race together too. So we really promote that because we know we had Ryan and Lindsay. So and they were our Spartan couple, but here's our DEKA. This is what we produce up here. All peace and love, of course.
So fun.
It's amazing. So yeah, we're going to catch you at the Farm Girl Fitness, which is this weekend, actually on Sunday. So you can check that out. I don't think there are any tickets left to join, but I know you can probably go watch. After that, there is one in Toronto with Resilience Fitness. There is one in October.
Mile. They're doing the DEKA Mile at Resilience. Yep.
Yes, I'm pumped for that one. Then we have right away in London, we've got Bethany McChesney's gym. Is it Fit Farm? They are doing one in October. And then I just saw online that you guys are hosting in November Strong. So
yes, we are.
Lots of opportunity, everyone. So let's just leave it at that. Here is our power couple. We are wishing you guys the best luck that there is for Worlds. I'm hoping they live stream everything so we can live vicariously through it. And let's bring home some Canadian golden rams or silver rams or bronze. Just bring one of those cool rams home for us. No pressure or anything.
No pressure. We might be bringing batons though, because that's what you get for teams.
Oh yeah, those are cool too. So you can bring those as well.
Okay,
awesome. Bring us back some Canadian bling. I know you guys are going to represent Canada and your affiliate gym really, really well. If you don't know Amber and Zach, they are amazing coaches. Even if you are not being coached by them, they are coaching you all the way. They're coaches through and through. They're great people. They are very humble about it. It's not like of course you're posting it. I'd be posting everything. But it's a very humble, and you will see them cheering you on wherever you are on course. So congratulations, you guys. You guys are awesome. And I cannot wait to see what you're up to and what happens at Worlds.
Thanks, guys.